everything that's made. And so when we draw it here, by the way, this is going to get at the part of the prompt, if you have it in front of you, about sticky wages. We economists talk about sticky prices and sticky wages. Now, it doesn't mean, like the tables at the Bear. If you're aware, it's not that kind of sticky. It is that it doesn't move very much. So here's our ASAD model. Don't worry, I don't go to the Bear. I'm too old. I will not go in there. You will not see me there, but I have been there. I love the Bear. I'm just 54 years old and gray hair. I shouldn't go in there, right? This is your place. Okay, I won't be there Friday or Saturday night. All right, maybe I'll get a burger, but I ain't going there Friday or Saturday night. By the way, I've put in my time dancing on that floor, and boy, do you guys wish we had videos of that.
I would love to do that.
Okay, wait a minute. Question. Wait, how many of you have been to the Bear? Okay, wonderful. Fantastic. Okay, how many of you have danced at the Bear? Oh, just a few of you. Me and my buddies would come, we'd go there and we'd get into a circle, and then somebody in the middle would get, I'm not gonna do it, dance, and then go back out, and another would go in the circle. Do people still do that?
No, I wish.
That's like middle school dance right there.
Whoa. Yeah, you should have seen our dancing though. All right. So the thing about this model, sorry, back to economics. The thing about this model is that it's aggregating everything on a regular and supply and demand model. A regular supply and demand, our y-axis is price of that product. Here we're looking at the overall price level. So we're going to, from now on, we'll just say PL for price level. Meaning when it goes up, what do we have? There's a word for it, inflation. Meaning when it goes down, the worst word in the economic lexicon. Lexicon means dictionary. Deflation. So inflation here, deflation here. That is, if the intersection or equilibrium intersection taken over to the y-axis goes up, it's inflation. If equilibrium changes and brings it down, it's deflation. And then rather than measuring the quantity of a product or one service, we're measuring everything, which is GDP, but we're measuring it over different years. Therefore, it's real GDP. And the way we do that is GDP sub-real. Now, there's this place, this beautiful place that we call long-run aggregate supply. It's our ability to produce goods and services. What's that model that we had in chapter 2? And we had a number of questions on the midterm on that model that showed just two goods, PPF, PPC, production possibilities frontier, production possibilities curve, same thing. So what made that grow over time? No, that allowed you to consume more than you could produce. What helps it grow? What helps you make more things? More land, labor, and capital, and how efficiently we use land, labor, and capital. And so, what are the determinants of this? If this is the same thing? Yeah. Land, labor, capital. And then I'm going to do this. How productive our land, labor, and capital is. That's really key. I saw a number of people miss that on the midterm. More land, more labor, more capital. One thing. More efficient use of labor. So hopefully you being in college, you are becoming more efficient workers, being more knowledgeable, right? So it's not more labor would just mean more workers. You being better educated is more productive workers or more productive labor. Does that make sense? That differentiation between the two? Yeah. Okay. So this, right, is at a beautiful point. It's at a point where Y, which is what? Y essentially is, yeah, this is GDP. It's what economists call it national income. It's just capital Y. You'll see it throughout your economics courses for those who are majoring in economics. And then it's Y at a certain point that the Fed targets. Yeah, it's at full employment, which is 4 to 5%. The reason I say 4 to 5, it's in textbooks, it still says 5. We're still kind of figuring out how much unemployment there could be without runaway inflation. In other words, if there is 4% unemployment, will it only create what? 2% inflation. And we used to think that maybe that's possible. I think now it might be more towards 5 as we've had supply chain problems and we're starting to bring production back to the United States. Okay, then remember we had these 3 stages. So we had this flat, and this is really important. I draw it flat, even though I'm not able to apparently. And then you have a curved up version. Then you have a vertical version. And this is aggregate supply, all of the supply curves brought together. What did I say this represented here? This flat zone. Yeah, so let's label that recession. What did I say the unemployment rate was here? Yeah, so there, let's do dotted line, 0%. 0% what? What letter and number? What did we learn? What's that official unemployment rate? Yeah, U3. So 0% U3. Everything is being produced. I'm sorry, I should say every single resource in the economy is being used. We are at our speed limit. I'd call this a boom, an economic boom. Now notice this time in between, your book calls this the intermediate zone, but what's taking place here? What's going on in our economy there? So here, jobs. Do people have jobs? Are people looking for jobs? No, yes, no. Let me rephrase it. Does everybody have a job here? Okay, people are looking for work. Up here, everyone has a job. Here, you can get one if you want one. The shelves right here, full. They have some stuff, but things are going here. Shelves are empty. Okay, nice. So this part right here, I just say growth. We want to be right here, where AD is right there at that intersection. Why? Because price level is relatively high, but enough to show our economy is growing. Now I'm not going to put that AD curve there. Remember, this is all the determinants of supply. Take a second, write them down. What are the determinants of supply? Try to remember those. And remember, these are the same determinants as just regular supply for a product or service. Remember, these have to do with businesses' costs and how they interact with the government. Yeah. Well, no. First, you all do that on your paper. Yeah. Yeah, no number of sellers. Yeah, so we drop that. I think that's it, right? Yeah, we drop that. So businesses have to pay taxes. They have to deal with regulations. They have input costs. Government gives them subsidies. Their workers hopefully over time become more productive. I'm going to put productivity. That's it, right? Yeah. Okay, do this. Negative, 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 positive, positive. Like I say, what I'm doing here is I'm front loading some information. We don't get this for a couple chapters, but this is crucially important. And so the more we hit it, the better we're going to learn it. You know, in any analytical model like this, we are doing simplifying assumptions. Would expectations have to do with your company's willingness to supply more? Of course, but we're throwing that one out here. All right, now, remember we have another line called aggregate demand. Let's just do this down below. Aggregate demand is super easy. It's, what's the new way of saying it? SIG X, right? It is consumption levels, investment levels. Oh, remember this one too, other errors on the midterm were people calling this investments. Right, that could be misconstrued to be people buying a stock, right? That's not what this is. This is businesses. Wait, how are they getting the money? Businesses borrowing money and investing into themselves. And then government spending. Oh, by the way, taxes and government spending, is that monetary policy? Monetary policy is interest rates and only interest rates. Fiscal policy is taxes and government spending. So there were some missteps on the midterm from some there. And lastly, net exports. These are all positively related to the AD curve, meaning if there's less of any one of these, that curve will shift in. And if there's more of any of them, it'll shift out. Okay. Now later on, I'll get into, I mean, here I am explaining why there's this change in the slope. Right now, I'm not going to do that to tell you about AD. We'll leave that for another session. So here's our AD1. It's intersecting right here on our AS curve. Wherever two supply and demand curves intersect, give us our equilibrium. And so let's draw dotted lines to each of our axes. And so we have a price level relatively low, but why is that not a good thing? Yeah, we're not growing, right? It's not a symptom of a growing economy, it's staying too low. And then we have what here? The difference between GDP here and full employment. What do we call that gap? And this is it's a gap that's showing we are in recession, right? If our GDP is lower than this, and let's say FE full employment is 5%. What is unemployment here, higher or lower? Yeah, it's higher, right? It's count. So anytime GDP is lower than this, that means unemployment's higher. If GDP is higher than this, then unemployment is lower. Now, let's continue this line here because this is what I want to really make this flat recessionary zone have a little tail there. So let's say we fall into a recession. Generally, what happens, and for those of you looking to what's going to happen in the economy and try to win $1 from me, remember our bet? So what you're going to look at, which are E that causes most recessions, is that businesses, millions, billions of bright people around the world looking at the indicators they know of their business, seeing whether or not they can foresee the need for new investment and new products. And so the first thing we usually see is businesses start dropping investment spending, and that portends, meaning that basically foresees that we're going to fall into a recession. So almost every recession is led by a drop in investment spending. If that's the case, what happens here? Where does this curve move if investment falls? Yeah, it moves inward. So let's do that. Let's show AD2. What's that? Yeah, this is a terrible example, but this is to show you this idea of sticky wages. So what's happened? Yeah, we're nearing depression level economy here. But what hasn't happened? So here, what hasn't happened? Price level has not dropped. Wait, you got fewer customers. But why do they have to make money? Well, why? For what? I'm getting somewhere here. I'm trying to get, why do you need money as a business? What do you got to do with money? Oh, pay your employees. Oh, right. So wait. So you want to stay in business, so you're not firing them. Maybe you're firing some, but notice the price level is not going to drop because wages tend to be sticky. Even in recessions, wages go up on average. Wages never, and in my experience, looking at all the data during my lifetime, whenever there's a recession, on average, wages don't fall. Why is that? And conservatives hate this. And when we get to conservative economic theory, we'll learn a way that they think we can get around this. Why don't people take wage cuts? What are the structures in our economy that keep people from taking wage cuts? So minimum wage laws, right? There's a minimum wage law. Even though you've lost business, you've got to pay the minimum wage. That's certainly a sticky wage. What about people gathering together as unions, having pro-union legislation? In a union like mine, I sign a contract each year for how much money I'm going to make. There is nothing in my contract, nor just about any self-respecting union contract, that says, unless there's a recession, you get paid this much, right? You get paid this much no matter what. If we fall into a recession and I say, you know what, I'm going to have to, you're my employees, I'm going to have to either lay off 10% of you or cut all your wages 10%. What are you going to say? Cut the people? Cut the people? You're true Americans. Okay. So no, you don't have to agree with it, Aiden, because this is generally what's the case. Why? Why? So this is another conservative argument against something. People are, I don't want to call it, I don't want to say something negative about you, but people are rather self-interested or selfish, right? You don't want to take the wage cut. Let the lower level, you think you're better than the other people, right? Yeah, so let them cut them. No one thinks they're the low 10%. No one does, not even the low 10%. But why do we do that? Exactly, because we got government programs to back us up. So we got unemployment, we have aid to families with dependent children, or sorry, it's renamed, welfare is renamed temporary assistance to needy families. If you're hungry, what can you get? Okay, why did it change? Temporary assistance to needy families. Temporary was brought in by Bill Clinton in 1996, whereby welfare can only be had for a total of 5 years by a parent with children, 2 years at a time, and they must work or go to school. Therefore, the T. That's why they changed it. And Clinton was really big on saying this is we no longer have a system where you can remain on welfare forever. But okay, so let me, don't want to get into an argument, but I do. What is welfare, aka TANF, for? Who is it for? So temporary assistance to needy families. So who's in a family? Yeah, kids. It's for the kids, right? Oh shit, now you're gonna piss me off and I'm gonna really go off. So I hope some of you know, and I know there are many anecdotes of people, including my ex-wife's mother. That's why I'm not gonna get too mad. And she's dead, so we'll let it go. But what did she do? What do you think she did? She raised my ex-wife and the brothers and sisters. I'm not trying to put you too much on the spot, but she raised it, but a little bit. She raised all of them on welfare. But what did they turn out to be? One's a tenured instructor at Butte College. The other is a successful teacher. What made them successful? And without the welfare, it wouldn't have been there, right? And she went to Butte College to get her teaching degree. And guess what? She became a really good special ed teacher. So there's my argument. You don't have to agree with me. Okay. So get the argument here. All these liberal policies of welfare, food stamps, pro-union legislation, minimum wage, they keep us from accepting lower wages. Therefore, wages are, they don't go down. If you look at, and I'll show you in a later class if you're interested in this data, even during the worst recession of my lifetime, and maybe some of yours, 2000, you were all born by 2007, 8, right? Yeah, okay, of course. But you weren't really cognizant of it. You weren't paying attention. Even that, when it was really bad, and I'll just take my word for it. Because, okay, there, we got a great example. All right, a terrible example. What did people lose during the Great Recession? Yeah, I'm sorry. So a lot of people lost their house.
I didn't think about it, so it's hard, so we just a lot.
You want-
I didn't think about it.
Could you give him a hug? Don't touch me. Okay. Where was I going? Oh, even during that recession, that was almost a depression, wages went up. They didn't go down. And it's because of all those, from the conservative perspective, liberal policies that keep wages sticky.
How far they go up like when they just stay stagnant?
You would think that, but if you're in a union,
Bad contribution.
now, if you're in a union, my union has written right into its our every year contract, we will get X% raise, full stop, George.
When you said they go, when they go, to inflation,
Yes, yeah, if I'm quoting something, I'm always quoting something in real terms, yeah.
that like wages help them adjust to inflation.
Yeah,
They change, you know,
it hasn't
go
kept,
down, they go back up.
it hasn't kept up with it, but if you look at so here's what I'm quoting, overall average wages for the entire United States. In real terms, if memory serves, which more and more, less and less it is, but I think it was 0.3% during the Great Recession that wages in general went up on average. So how does that relate? Now, bring it